Community Matters.
Hello and welcome to Many Voices, One Community, stories that unite us across Long Island and beyond. I'm Gaitley Stevenson-Mathews. I'm so very pleased to serve as Community Engagement Officer here at the Holocaust Memorial and Tolerance Center. And what a very special treat today, and that I have Ranelle Wolf, who is a professor of fine arts, so involved in so many things in the community, and also just a creative from the beginning to the end. I've got to know Ranelle a little bit, and I begged her to come onto my show, and we had a window of time today. And Ranelle, I cannot tell you how pleased I am. I will say from the very beginning, I have felt a kinship, and I cannot thank you enough for being here. Why don't you share with our listeners? So I know you are a professor. I know you influence the community as an educator, but I'm assuming that that education does not stop at the classroom. Why don't you share a little bit about yourself and how you have come to find your mission in life in this journey, and how you are here at the Holocaust Center?
Wow, that's a very powerful question. I think it all starts, and I can align because you did it so beautifully when you had your beautiful website, which is a work of art, and you go back and you tell your family. I think it's very important. I even do that as a professor, as the icebreaker. I want everyone to tell where they come from. Some people don't like that, but when you're a brilliant question that you ask, it all starts from the beginning, whether you like the cards that have been dealt or not. That's where the soul kicks in. You have to take what's given to you. As a child, just a little girl, I always loved art. We're all born with something, and sometimes the world kills it, or sometimes we have the strength to keep it in us, even though people maybe don't like that. So I always loved art, and I am passionate about it. And especially now in older days, because I know the medicinal part. But going back to your question, when I was just a little girl, very little, maybe 7, 8, my grandmother on every Saturday on Shabbat would put out in a beautiful table elements in the room of M&Ms, and she would watch what I loved to eat. But she had a reason. She would sit me down every Shabbat, every Sabbath, every Saturday, and tell me how we were killed, how it was done, how the mothers had to watch the children get exterminated, how the father would go last, and how he had to witness to see each member of the generation being killed in front of him. What do you do with that when you're a child? Do you think you stay normal? Normal is not a word, right? Because, I believe we were born all with a mission. There's no way you're ever going to tell me. We came here to do something. We know that before age 11, but then the veil is shut down.
And Ranelle, if I can interrupt. So
You're not interrupting.
And
Lovely.
In that moment, I grew up as a United Methodist in a little tiny town in North Carolina. Most of us, religion-wise, were Christian, and most were Protestant. So certainly my experience growing up could not be any more different than yours. And certainly I have had the great gift being here at the Holocaust Center and learning more about the history. Certainly I knew it growing up, but knowing it, the mission here and learning about it. And it is the connection, these personal connections, certainly with survivors here at the center, certainly with our docents who are so well informed, and certainly when you walk through the Holocaust Center and see and hear and feel and sense. I mean, it's a crack of just a small crack of what certainly people felt and went through, and the horror that it's hard to even wrap one's head around. But I hear you tell this story that your grandmother brought you through. And in some ways, in my head, I think, oh my gosh, how does a child assimilate that? But it strikes me as so important that whatever level, wherever you are in your age, that it is ever present so that you never forget. And what a gift that your grandmother gave to you. And let's just think for a minute, not only a gift that she gave to you, but also a gift that you share now and that will carry on for generations. And to me, that is such an important lesson. When you were a child, were you shocked? How did you feel?
Wow, another great question. Shocked? Funny you should say that, because I was cleaning my art books up, and as Spirit would have it, a little book fell down with old photos. And I guess Spirit wanted to show me little Ranelle. And I looked at this the other day, and she was very happy and smiling. But that was right before the years before grandmother started in with me. And I mean, in with me, because that innocence was taken from me. It was a violation. But it was also, Tikkun Olam, this is what I came in the world to do.
Right.
And my mission, and I'm in love with teaching. It's extremely hard and difficult with this population right now. But I can't think of a better medicine. Because when you process pain and you sit with it and you create, whether you sing or paint or whatever, you know there's a connection to God, heart, and love. I know it may not going to carry many people along with this, but I have absolute certainty. I am 100% correct. I am flawless with this. And in these unprecedented times, what is going on now? What it really is the world needs the Judeo-Christian, Presbyterian values.
Yes, as we spoke about in another podcast, the common thread of humanity and finding the good. And from my perspective, again, especially heightened with my work here at the Holocaust Center, is the minute you see the very beginnings of hate, intolerance, that it must be squelched. It has to be called out. And not only does it have to be called out, it has to be called out for what it is. And to me, the fact that your grandmother put that seed in you, and I'm sure it had to have been hard. And in some ways, while perhaps it was difficult to hear, your grandmother probably had to do that. You know,
she felt called
to
come from the
to
pogrom.
make sure that she knew that this beautiful, for lack of a better word, untainted young girl must know. You know, and that little bit means that you are then empowered. And am I correct to assume she's not in this world?
Oh, no.
No, okay. No. So she is, though.
Yeah.
She is in this world because she's in this world through you and through those who knew her. And that, to me, is the legacy that then can empower us to do the hard work of fighting anti-Semitism, of fighting hate, of fighting intolerance.
Yes.
And that is so in step not only with your mission, but certainly the mission here at the Holocaust Center.
And current. And how I would even come here. I didn't search to get a job here. Of course, it's not a job like that. To become a volunteer and to do this. You see how Spirit, we come in a mission. As I say, I have absolute certainty that I know, even though I don't have the proof, tangible, but I have done enough studies through history and art and studied the classics of Plato and Aristotle, and everybody is saying what we need to do now, the information we need to correct this world.
Right, right. So my next question is this. So given your history, your background, your circumstance, those that were in your control and those outside of your control, how does that inform you in your day-to-day life now?
Because you should not judge anyone by what they make or what they wear or be special because someone has, is to look at everything as a living soul, and they came here to do something. And if you just meet them at the gym or whatever, they have a message if you'll just receive it or give it. Everything that happens is really a curation for our soul to develop, because we cannot get all the information quickly. It will never come. Just like with your career, you start one place. You have to go through, parlay all of these experiments in life to become the best version of yourself.
Right, but now wouldn't you say that one of the, or maybe not, I think one of the hardest things is to, we like to think we're informed and we're open to new ideas, but I think it's often hard to put yourself in a place of being receptive, to listen. And I think I don't know that it's anyone's fault. Certainly, we're very different personalities, but I think we're both driven in our own way. And I think what oftentimes happens is when you feel so passionately about things that, at least I'm guilty of this. I know that I can make a difference if I reach out to the right people and pull the right people together. And in a beautiful way that I feel blessed for this having been the case, I have, in my own little way, worked to make a difference and have seen that come to fruition. But I get so laser focused sometimes that I forget to, here we're coming back to breath and breathe, and allow yourself to listen. And I feel like that is the most important gift that you can give to this world and to others, because the minute that you just maybe take a step back and allow yourself to hear, then you have the ability to truly bring change that is more about humanity from the get-go and the full spectrum of humanity. But I think that's hard. I don't think that's easy.
Well, it goes back to that one of the most important books ever written by Viktor Frankl, who was in the Holocaust,
Right.
Man's Search for Meaning. I gave that to a friend, which is a good example about soul and how when soul doesn't work. And I said, you ought to read this. She said, Ranelle, how could you give something to me that is so depressing? And I said, my God, you didn't like this book? You didn't listen to his words? You had to see it as depression? This is what the soul wants. The soul wants to be set, wants to walk in to the Holocaust Center, which isn't a preserve in a mansion, but you walk in. This is not a pretty thing you're going to see, but done artistically. So
Right.
well.
No, I agree. And I will say, I think about, I've been here almost a year. October will be a year. And the first few weeks that I was here, it was very hard because you are around it every day. And
Wow.
but the most important, I'll never forget the first time that we had nursing students from Malloy. And one of the docents was standing there and saying, as medical people, you take a Hippocratic oath. You take an oath to uphold life, to sustain life. These nurses, these doctors, they didn't take a Hippocratic oath. They swore an oath to Hitler.
Yes.
And not only did they swear an oath to Hitler, if they didn't do that, the consequences were no longer opportunities in the medical field. at least, but, could very well be the end of their lives or the end of however they can practice. So they were strong-armed to do that. But when she said this to these nurses and said they were not trained to sustain life, they were trained to identify infants who had any type of disability. Whatever that disability might be, whatever is identified as somehow not being the ideal, and to take that life. And you can just see in the faces of, this is, major accolades to Malloy, just an exceptional university, an exceptional nursing program. But to see every ethnicity, every walk of life represented in their student body, and to see them there and to hear those words. And in that moment, I knew they will never be able to unknow that.
Beautiful. Exactly.
And every moment as they already valued sustaining life, the importance is that much more. And in that moment, just like your friend who, perhaps it's hard sometimes to just see the negative and the horrible nature of what happened. The transformation that happens from education, and an education that really happens in a way that can't really happen in a book, or can't really happen in a way that happens, unlike that happens here. To be in that room, to hear that docent share that story, to see the images, and to then have that thought connected to heart. That is where a difference happens in our world. And I have to believe that those nurses, as magnificent as they were when they walked in the door, are even better because they have that knowledge. So to me, that because of the kind of education you had, because of God bless, I'm full out, God bless that grandmother of yours for, as hard as it was and as hard as it is for those nursing students to hear those stories, but to have shared those stories, that's where we make an impact.
Wow, that's beautifully said. That's
where we make an impact.
What a great connect.
So the next thing I wanted to say, so kind of fast forwarding. So this background growing up in your family, and where did you grow up? Here on Long Island?
Well, it started in Wavecrest. I guess that's Queens or near the Five Towns.
Okay.
My grandparents had a kosher butcher and supplied all the people. And my grandmother, just to give a little note about her, when there was polio and, she would send her son to give the groceries. It was Shabbat. You had to have kosher food. Forget about polio. This is the one who told me the stories. It was about righteousness. I was taught righteousness. And then we moved to Brooklyn. And then I lived in Manhattan. So I am a native New Yorker.
Beautiful.
And
so I just love this because, I had Father P, who is our Greek Orthodox priest here on the North Shore. And we were talking about hospitality and the importance of hospitality. And I just enjoy the importance of words. And you just talked about you talked about polio and the importance of what was the word?
Shabbat, they needed the kosher meat.
Yes. So why was that so important? Maybe it's polio, everything else going on. Maybe it's not so important. Why was it important?
What do you?
Why was to be kosher, to follow the laws and the traditions? At a time when maybe it was easier not to.
Oh, yeah.
Why would that be important?
Well, everybody follows different rules. Sometimes people know something is wrong, but they don't want to follow the rule. most people don't want to follow the rule. But if we, going back to values, to Judeo-Christian values, is what we're talking about and what we're seeing in unprecedented times, to be slaughtered down for that. And these are not bad, these are words of the heart and the soul of God. Oh, my goodness. You know what, Gaitley, and I feel very strongly about this. If you're not taught the 10 Commandments, this is not political, this is human, then maybe you see somebody gorgeous, drop dead gorgeous, and you want to have an affair with that person, but you're married or whatever, it's going to, you took your vows, so you say, well, no one's going to know. But if, I'm not trying to be elitist here, because we all make mistakes, it's against the 10 Commandments. You're angry at your mother. You don't disrespect, she might have done something terrible, your father, but it's a commandment. You have to have values. And you see, this is how the soul, it needs it. This is how values, in fact, as a teacher, I teach values. I do. I can't talk about God. I can't talk about that. I don't want to. I don't want to talk about politics, my God. But what I will go in the classroom, I'll say, you get black paint and you take white paint. Give me 12 variations. You know how hard that is to do a grayscale? You know how hard?
I don't know.
Well, think about music. You know about notes.
Right.
It's the same thing as music, art, everything. Values. Can you see and differentiate? You know that most people, they're either a black person, a white person, or they're in the grace, but they cannot do all the gradations. Very, very hard. It's the same thing in values. Yes, we have the Bible. Can you do it? Are you willing to do it? You're not going to be perfect. We're not even supposed to be perfect. But try. Try in these unprecedented times.
Right. I will say, and again, someone with a background, at this point, I'm a Presbyterian elder, so I'm in the Presbyterian church at this point, and I sing in a Calvary AME church in their choir, which is a historically black church.
Love it.
Actually rooted in Methodism, but that's another story and another podcast.
Love to hear about it.
But I will say, if you really look at so many of our faiths and our backgrounds and our religions, and that's not to say that there's not extremist evil within religion. But the vast majority of our religions, if you really look at the core of what they say, is really about being kind.
Exactly.
And is really about finding the goodness in people, and is really about building community and bringing goodness to the world. And as we're talking about here, sadly, we often find the knobs are a little different. How we worship certainly is different. And
doesn't matter.
If I am in your synagogue or I'm at a Christian church of a different denomination, or I'm a guest. I'm a guest in that house of worship. And even if I don't necessarily believe all of what this faith teaches or that faith teaches, I can still learn. And the thing that I feel blessed and fortunate to have learned, because I have friends from many different walks of life, many different faiths, and have been involved in many multi-faith type celebrations and such, is that I've had the opportunity to see that for me, it's Gaitley speaking, but for me, that I see God, which for me is good. I see the God and the good in so many people, and people from many different faiths. And to me, that whole idea of values, are they good Christian values? Are they good Jewish values? Are they good values? They are good values. The treating one another with dignity, treating one another with thoughtfulness, treating one another with respect. Of course, here we're the Holocaust Memorial and Tolerance Center. And I love that. And for me, I'm like, I want to be the Holocaust Memorial and Embracing Center. Because you have to start. I may, however, because you grew up differently, you're from a different background, when I first meet you, I may have a different response just because I'm not familiar. And that's not because it's bad. It's because I'm unfamiliar. But if you manage to live in that land and then give yourself an opportunity to breathe and hear and listen, then you can come full circle and realize that we're really much more the same than we are different.
Well, we did a program in East Hampton, the Hampton Jewish Center of the Hamptons. We did a great program in August, and our rabbi we would go to Presbyterian church, a different church in East Hampton, and we would have people come. And what it was is, maybe different people, but it's seeing it through a different lens. That's what it was called, and I can't quite remember, but it was through a different lens. And when we came in and sitting in a Presbyterian church, which was so fabulous in East Hampton, I would have never got the chance. I loved it. And really, we were studying the 10 Commandments. And we just realized there was just one difference in 10 Commandments, only because the lens was different. They didn't have to do it because Jesus died for them. So they didn't have that commandment. I wish I could remember which one it was not there. But the reason, and it's all the same. Jesus was reading Torah. So what does it matter? It's the same thing as why I love art history and religion. It's a horizontal line. And I tell my students to teach visual literacy. We learn the greatest lessons when we talk about someone's life and what they had to go through, their soul, to become great. Or maybe not so great. It doesn't matter. You have to be great. But the story is a wonderful.
And it's impactful.
It's impactful.
Right.
It's authentic, as you said.
Yes.
It teaches my students, as you said in the other podcast, authenticity.
Right.
And if you're authentic, you have heart and soul.
And I will say on that note, can you believe it, Ranelle? We are out of time.
Okay.
I will say it has just been such a pleasure having you, and I'm glad we got this opportunity to visit. And next time your synagogue does that event, I want an invitation.
Okay. I would just like, can I
Yes,
have the
do.
opportunity
Yes.
to show you these two paintings that I did for the Hampton Designer Show House. I used to do interior design, and it was based on love and angels. So I'd like to just show that here, these paintings.
Beautiful,
Thank
beautiful.
you.
Thank you so very much. And again, that is Many Voices, One Community. I'm Gaitley Stevenson-Mathews. It has been wonderful having Ranelle Wolf as my guest. And please make sure you watch all of our mini podcasts. Our executive producer, Bernie Firshpan, has done an incredible job. And thank you so much. And we'll see you next time. Thank you.